What it do, Dream Team? It's your boy D Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with How I See the U.S. After Living Abroad for 15 Years, Culture Shock Part 2. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. You guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon and drop it in the comment section. What we got?
In every restaurant. It's weird. And like another problem is that significantly more of the population is obese. So the US obesity rate right now is 42.4%, which is the first time apparently in the country's history that it's been over 40%. But
42.4%? My God.
it might be half of that. Like it's only 18 or 19% in the Netherlands and Japan. But the US has one of the highest obesity rates in the world. And I can't help but think that it's a combination of all of those factors. Also drinking, I feel like people drink more. My friends included. It's like we don't go out much right now anyway, but like when I would go to see them, it was like drink from Friday afternoon through Sunday night and then wake up and go to work on Monday. And I know that other countries like the UK and Ireland and pretty much a lot of countries ingest a lot of alcohol every year, but I feel like the way that Americans treat drinking, it's like always to get drunk as fast as possible and exceeding moderation.
That is, that's the best wrap up I've heard. The way the U.S. treats drinking is to always get drunk as fast as possible. That was my motto in college for sure. When I started drinking, that was my goal. If I was gonna drink, I was gonna get drunk. Simple and plain. And I did want to get there as quick as possible. That's facts. So she's spot on about this.
To get drunk as fast as possible and just exceeding moderation. And so that's another thing. And hey, apparently the alcohol sales have skyrocketed in 2020, but that's probably for another reason. Speaking of being home a lot and working from home though, I've noticed that the infrastructure is not so good. My internet in this particular apartment it goes out multiple times per day.
Ooh.
And
Dang.
I don't know how many times I've called Xfinity. I've even gotten a backup with AT&T, but I looked it up and the US has pretty mediocre, moderate internet speeds on the global index.
Oh,
but it
really?
ranks 119th out of like 206 countries when it comes to the cost. So
yeah.
internet, telecommunications, cell phone service, these things are really expensive in the US and not in other places. So in Estonia, you could pay a few euro and get like an unlimited data plan on your SIM card. Or in Mexico, I just got 3 SIM cards for clients. It cost me like $10 each to get a data plan for 1 month. I mean, in the US, like your cell phone's probably gonna be at least $30 or $40 a month to more than $100 per month.
30, 40 is on the low end. Very low end, 30, 40 a month. You're looking at, I feel like 70 a month. 78, depending on what plan you have, depending on what carrier you're with. My Wi-Fi definitely cost me like, I did get the fastest speed they have, but it cost me like $105 a month. Internet and stuff is definitely much more expensive. If she's getting unlimited plans for a couple euro or the data plans in Mexico for $10 a month, yeah, it's way more expensive here.
You're probably paying over $100 for your internet and cable package, and you will be paying a third of that in another country. But
That's
even though
crazy.
there's not good customer service with the monopoly style companies like telecommunications providers in the US, a positive thing I have noticed is how good the service is in general. Like if you go out to eat at a bar or a restaurant, or any service that you go to get at like a salon, retail store, people are really friendly and the customer service is really good. I mean, it's a tipping society, so maybe people are working for better tips. Maybe it's just a cultural thing. But I always feel like when I go out in public in the US, the people are really nice, whether they are selling me something or not. I mean, strangers strike up conversations with me quite often. Could be like at the pharmacy, or waiting in line at the fresh market, or standing and watching the sunset here in Miami. I mean, Americans are very nice. And when I lived in Paris, people on the street were not talking to me. Like, they were not just, oh, bonjour. No. But in the US, it's like everyone's so friendly that, hey, if they're strangers or just friends you haven't met yet. And I really like it.
It's same. Florida man, hold on. Florida man breaks into jail to hang out with his friends. But yes, U.S., I feel like there are definitely a lot of friendly people here. Definitely a lot of people who will start, strangers who will start conversation with you. But I find that cool, yeah, and great service. I think, personally.
Hey, if they're strangers or just friends you haven't met yet. And I really like that
there you go.
About the U.S., but I've noticed that it can be a little bit shallow. Like, these are like friendly acquaintance type of conversations. But then when it comes to making new friends, I found that to be particularly difficult this year. And I found dating to be particularly hard. And I have found the conversations that I have had when I'm getting to know people has been different, like less depth than it has been during my travels. And maybe it's because when you're traveling and you're meeting foreigners in other places, you don't know when you're going to see them again. So you kind of cut through the like small talk and you get straight to really deep kind of like existential things and philosophical and things about life. And even with the, even making friends with locals, like I've just had some amazing conversations in my travels, but I've noticed meeting people here, a lot of stuff centers around the day-to-day. A lot of it is kind of like gossipy, which I'm also not used to, because when you don't live in your home country, like no one talks about you because no one even knows you're there. So it's been weird to be back into this cycle of kind of like pettiness. Like one girl got mad at me because she said that I didn't say goodbye to her when like leaving dinner, but I did. I had to leave early, but she doesn't remember because she was really drunk. So then like her friends, like our mutual friends, told me that she was mad at me and like that sort of stuff. I'm just really not used to that after living abroad for 15 years.
That is definitely very petty. That is, she got mad at me for not saying goodbye. Stop it. Yeah, some people are just unexplainable, guys. I don't get that.
Or my perception is that they get wrapped up about rather insignificant things because it's kind of first world problems. Maybe it's all of the headaches and the hassles and like Murphy's Law and things that go wrong while you travel, or maybe it's being exposed to extreme poverty and pain, like publicly, that you can see in the streets, that it's kind of made me think that like the good little things, those little moments in life are very meaningful, but like little annoyances are not important. So when people are complaining to me that someone cut them off in traffic, or someone said this to them on a Zoom call, or someone said this about so-and-so, or what was she wearing, or whatever, I'm like, you know, I've seen what it's like living in slums and living in a landfill and having never been outside the gates of that landfill. And I know what it's like to live without electricity and not know what a window is because you've never had a window in your house. Like, what is glass? When I lived in Nicaragua and I was managing the construction on an office, I had to actually explain to the construction workers like how to install the window because they didn't have windows in their houses. So it's like when you have that perspective, I don't want to sound pretentious because I know that I've had like a lot of opportunities and privileges to travel, but it also humbles you and grounds you. And so when I hear even my family members talking about silly, trivial things that happened, I'm just like, get over it. Like, none of that is important. Let's not waste our time having a negative conversation about something that really doesn't matter in the whole scheme of the world. Another thing that
I feel like the U.S. can be a very positive country. A lot of people are very optimistic, 100%. But it can also be so many complainers who complain about everything. And getting around a complainer is just draining. Someone who constantly complains, it just drains you. It's just they just suck the life out of you. But yeah, I can't stand, especially like they complain about little things that, like, bro, are you serious right now? You're letting this upset you right now? Like, I cannot stand it. So I definitely understand what she means.
That was quite shocking when I first got here was how intense the mainstream media was. And obviously coronavirus is a big topic in the news everywhere in the world. But overall in the US, it seems to be this cycle of like fear, politics, violence, healthcare, and then just like outrage over everything.
Yeah.
And other countries obviously cover these topics and cover politics and things in their news, but most other countries have a public option in their healthcare system where healthcare is free or it's included in your taxes or whatever, or they don't have as big of health problems as we do. So it's not like always the main focus of the conversation in the news. And other countries also have political debates and different sides and different ideologies and perspectives, but most countries have more than two main political parties. So it's not like this us versus them mentality all the time. It's kind of more diluted and distributed among different groups. I'm not saying that there's any right or wrong way, but it definitely makes sense when I look at the culture of the US, how everything has kind of become simplified and gamified. So it's kind of like, red versus blue, my football team versus your football team, this state rivalry versus another state, or this city versus that city, or us versus them. And so I don't know, I think that maybe that comes from a lot of different things, but it's really not necessary. But at the end of the day, people are...
In the U.S., no matter what, I feel like you're going to find two different people on different sides of whatever it is. Well, it can be the dumbest thing, and there will be a group of people who are arguing for it, and there will be a group of people who argue against it. We are the United States, but a lot of the times we be looking like the divided states. You feel me?
It's really not necessary. But at the end of the day, people are inherently good, and that doesn't matter what country you're from. So in America, I think most people are good. It's just that people get dehumanized. And so when you don't have face-to-face or individual interaction with the other side, it can be really easy to just be against something, like an idea or a person or a group of people. That gets propagated a lot in the media. And it's just more pronounced and more in your face. I think overall the biggest thing I've noticed is that the US is a bit of like a walking contradiction and a paradox. We are told that the US is the best at most things or has the best everything, but that's not necessarily true. So I heard a guy on the news saying, yeah, we have the best healthcare system in the world, but blah, blah, blah. Like he had to preface what he was saying with propaganda. Like the US doesn't have the best healthcare system in the world. Like it doesn't make the top of world rankings for the peace index, happiness, safety, education. I mean, we're just not the best at everything, like internet speed. So it's just keeping things in perspective and realizing that not everything is what it seems. There's something called the Hofstede Index, which ranks countries by different variables, like how individualistic or collectivist they are. And each country can get a different score. And when I studied this in college, I found it so interesting because I didn't even know what that was. I didn't know that the US was an ethnocentric, individualistic country. So, obviously more capitalist than socialist, whereas other countries like India or countries in Latin America are more collectivist, which means that the community is put before the individual.
No. Yeah, that's not here. It's the one whoever has the people with the most money make the rules basically, and all the rules, of course, since they make the rules, they favor the people with the most money. So it's more, I feel like, favoring here. If you're rich, I feel like this is the best country to live in. If you are rich, if you're not rich, I don't agree that this is the greatest country. We got a lot of problems to fix. I still love the country. There's just a lot of problems that definitely need to be fixed. But yeah, all the rules and laws and all of that definitely favor the rich, big time.
The community is put before the individual. And so since the industrial times, the U.S. has gotten more individualistic and people have become more separated and more spread out. And I think that could be one of the causes of the problems that we're facing in modern day society, especially with people taking on 100% of the responsibility for childcare and remote learning, and both parents having to work full-time jobs to put food on the table and still being below the poverty line, and like all of these other issues in the US. I mean, coming back to the US during this time has reminded me a bit of why I've basically dedicated my entire life to helping people figure out ways that they can live life on their own terms so that they don't have to remain stuck in one physical geographic place or in one paradigm or in one way of thinking. So if you're thinking of traveling somewhere or moving somewhere, just pursue that curiosity and keep trying to open your worldview.
Before I publish this video, I just have one more reflection for you. The United States of America is a phenomenal country full of hundreds of millions of amazing people. But my perception is that in many ways, we have been taught more to value hard work and independence, sometimes at the expense of logic, empathy, and humanity.
Agreed.
It goes without saying that the capitalist U.S. system has resulted in more freedom, more wealth, more innovation, and more opportunity for countless people in multiple generations across the planet. However, the system isn't perfect, and it doesn't always work in the best interest of individual people. So, when contemplating your unique place in this completely wondrous time of human history that we find ourselves living in right now, how can you ensure that you're living your life in accordance with your values, your principles, and your goals, while being discerning in what you consume, whether that's what you read or what you eat or what you buy? And equally important, how you react to the many distractions and temptations and the noise of the external world. Feeling gratitude for the conditions that we find ourselves in on the planet right now, but also acknowledging and confronting the very real challenges of modern day life can help us diagnose where we are feeling stuck and where we're feeling unhappy. In 1770, two men, John Hancock and Samuel Adams, made a decision to speak up. And they took actions that would, in the words of Napoleon Hill, spark the revolution that would, quote, change the entire trend of civilization.
Oh, wow.
And he also writes, the power which gave this nation its freedom is the self-same power that must be used by every individual who becomes self-determining. The power that gave this nation its freedom must be used by each and every individual in his or her individual path in life. The ability to travel, to solo travel as a female in the world today is not lost on me. And it has given me such clarity in my worldview, but also in my sense of self. And in a degree of confidence that I don't think that I could have attained in any other way. And my goal in making this channel was to pass on that gift to I can't say it. Okay. To millions of people that I've never met and will never meet. And so I hope that my videos and this video have helped you make more sense of the world and your unique place in it. Because I believe that all of us are here for a reason. And we're here to help each other on this crazy journey. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And now let's get back to the conclusion of this video.
So that was kind of a long, rambling video, but hopefully it made you think. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or anything I missed. I'm sure even though I talked a lot, I missed a lot of stuff. And see you in another video. Bye.
I feel like she definitely got the basic, I feel like she got the U.S. right, is what I'm trying to say. I feel like she definitely wrapped it up well in all her points. She was definitely well spoken and she was definitely well informed, because all the stuff she feeling, I can definitely see it in this nation. But that's all we got. You guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon and drop it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. It's your boy D Neal, out.